Yes. So what may be dangerous and could even endanger the soldiers more is the spirit. If it is the spirit of going to kill whoever would be suspected. Because this is dangerous for them, and this is dangerous for the image inside the Sinai society. It would make them more.
They have to be accurate. Who was responsible for his attacks?
Yes, because if someone is shooting at you, so of course you are not gonna say hello to those people. But if there are some suspects, it's really important not to see some videos like this old short video that had been leaked for some soldiers beating one of the civilian or of the people. Yes, he is a suspect, and most indicators said that he was armed and he was in a battle with the soldiers. But whenever you catch him,
put him to justice.
Exactly, and it has been. I'm sure that those orders have been said many times after this video had been leaked. So I hope the feelings of the soldier that's really high now do not result in some mistakes like this.
Hopefully. And back to Al-Ahram, and we read from page 3. The Prince of Kuwait says, we support every step taken by Egypt. And Prime Minister Mahlab says, we shall continue the roadmap and risk combating terrorism. Kicking off a 3-day visit to Kuwait, Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab held talks with Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah and member of the Kuwaiti Investment Authority. Still with the same issue, and from Al-Masri al-Yawm, we read, Mahlab in Kuwait to support the economic summit. Education, health and youth to be included in the plan of investments of the summit. Mahlab delivered the message from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to the Kuwaiti Emir, and for his part, Sheikh Sabah expressed Kuwait's condolences over the victims of the latest terrorist attacks in northern Sinai. Kuwaiti Emir handed Mahlab a message to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, which stressed that Kuwait would continue to support Egypt and would never forget Cairo's stances towards Kuwait. Sheikh Sabah also accepted Egypt's invitation to attend the upcoming summit in March in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh. He said that Kuwait supports Egypt's request to acquire a non-permanent seat in the UN Security Council for the year 2016-2017, representing North Africa. Yesterday, Prime Minister Ibrahim Mahlab did start a 3-day visit to Kuwait, where he met with Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah and other officials, where he delivered a message from President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, and he invited Kuwait, of course, to attend the economic summit, which will take place in March in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh.
No, the Egyptian-Kuwaiti relations are really good since 30 July and getting better. So the Kuwaiti participation in the conference is not, to me it was not a matter of questioning either Kuwait or United Arab Emirates or Saudi Arabia or Bahrain. But what's important is that actually from inside, to make this conference successful, you do not only need your allies to participate strongly. Exactly, you need everyone. And you need even those who are not allies or not enemies at the same time, or you don't have disputes with them. So what's needed is real new law amendments. It's happening. But there are so many questions about the new investment law. And despite so many people are talking and questioning, we didn't receive any reply about those good points of view that's being said, or warnings that are being said to the government about the new law, because it would result again in different kinds of corruption. It would facilitate for the businessmen, but it would result in a different kind of authority for businessmen inside Egypt. So we need the law, and we need it to be clear and actually also to be accepted by the majority of the Egyptians.
Indeed.
Because if it is not accepted by most of the Egyptians, or at least the political and economic figures in Egypt, there would be some disputes and troubles in the future, which is not correct and healthy for the investment situation. The second point is that the internal situation, political situation in general in Egypt, if there is a more stable atmosphere and more people who have this feeling of being optimistic, so it would be much better opportunities for investment and for this conference.
Indeed. So let's be optimistic that things will go in the right direction and the conference will have positive repercussions. And still with the Masri اليوم and we read, the Supreme Election Commission forms committees for the voting of expats abroad. And we have seen of course, the preparations ahead of the upcoming parliamentary elections, which will take place in March, for the expats and for the people in Egypt. Are you seeing here that we are actually ready for this parliamentary elections?
I don't see we are ready for, organizing the election.
Yes, of course.
So I do not
about the candidates, the political parties. We believe that they are doing the job on the ground. The people know who are the candidates.
Until today, for sure, before the correct day, the defined date for starting the campaign, they are not allowed to campaign. So they are not, till today, they are not allowed to campaign, which is not needed. What's really not encouraging, if you can say, is that the Egyptian political life used to be almost frozen and stuck for decades. It only started to interact after the revolution.
Indeed.
It had so many mistakes, and still it's trying to rebuild a real political movement. But what's happening now with that, we have this fight with terrorism is closing the political atmosphere. And until yesterday, very frankly, there had not been any hint from the authority that still they would like to go hand by hand combating terrorism and political internal debate on the political level. So from this point of view, or from this angle, Egypt is not ready for the elections, which for sure does not mean that we should not have it. No, we must have the elections, but we have to really start allowing and accepting political debate. It's not only the authority who should accept it.
Indeed.
It's also the media workers. It's also the people in the street. Having different opinions does not mean that you are against your country, because this has been the wave that has been spread and being actually repeated mostly in the media.
Yeah.
Which is totally bad for the Egyptian future. If it continues, we will all lose. No one will come out as a success.
Indeed. And back to Al-Ahram, and from page 3 we read, the deporting the Australian journalist who is accused of the Nile itself. Egypt frees and deports Australian journalist Peter Grist, correspondent for Al Jazeera English television, flies to Larnaca in Cyprus with brother Michael after his release from Cairo's Tora prison. Still with the same issue, and from Al Masri اليوم read, deporting the Australian who is accused in the Nile itself to his country. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott speaks of his personal delight and the nation relief at Grist's release, expressing his government's support for the free media and thanking Egypt President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. How do you see the deporting of Australian defendants who was accused in the Nile itself?
It's a very good move. It's a late move, but it's still a late better than nothing. And journalists who have been accused based on their work in Egypt, these three are part of them, because they were working. Maybe they did not get the correct papers or documents or the approval or whatsoever. Normally what happens in the world, in this situation, people can be tried but not jailed. So it had been, to me, I can say it had been a big mistake from the very beginning in this situation exactly. I'm not talking about those who were as journalists who were participating in violence. They were journalists who are working as journalists.
So anyone who is involved in violence or bloodshed.
To be clear, but you know, all people are taking it very sensitively. But those journalists who are working or enduring their media work, they should not be imprisoned for their work. And for now, picture is out, which is good. And still, we have Fahmi and we have their third colleague. We have two other journalists, one Egyptian Canadian and one Egyptian person in the same case. So it's not good to release one of them and hold the other two. So we need the two others released. And frankly, also the press syndicate has introduced a list of all journalists who have been held based on accusations connected to their work.
Not any violence or inciting violence or bloodshed.
We need this list to be cleared. And actually it's the press syndicate that had been applied to free those people and continue procedures. So
let's be optimistic that the process
we're not asking to stop any legal process, but try them, but let them out in their places.
Indeed. Ms. Nafisa Sabbar, the journalist and chief editor of Masriyat, thank you very much for being with us in the breakfast show. And with this we come to the end of our press review for today. Now we'll go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to resume the segments of the breakfast show, so don't go away.